The hero Ju-yeon defeats the demon king that has been terrorizing a continent in another world. The citizens cheer for him, grateful to him for protecting their peace. To himself, Ju-yeon whispers with relief that after this, he can finally come home to his original world. After the celebrations, Ju-yeon meets with the goddess and she speaks to him. She commends Ju-yeon for choosing to save this world. But he has different thoughts about it. 20 years ago, he was abducted by the goddess and sent to this world to save it. After defeating the enemy, he would be sent to another place, and the cycle continued. He hasn't returned to his original world since, and he feels unfair that he won't be receiving compensation for all he has done, for always choosing to save others. The least the goddess can do is to let him keep his memories. Instead, the goddess says that time has stopped in Ju-yeon's original world. Therefore, everything has remained the same, which means once Ju-yeon returns, he is back to square one with no memories of his 20 years as a hero. As for his compensation, the goddess is generous enough to give him God's fragment, a piece of her power as a gift. But she warns Ju-yeon that his choices will have effects on his dimension, and the world will change according to his will. When Ju-yeon asks for hints or clarification, the goddess simply says no. Naturally, Ju-yeon gets angry. Why is it always a no for him? And why can't he keep his memories? But the goddess pushes the angry Ju-yeon out of her hands, with an additional promise that she will watch over his journey in the world that will determine his fate. Ju-yeon falls through space, his body passing through celestial bodies until he suddenly opens his eyes. He is back in a normal bed, awakened by the bright ray of sunshine hitting his face. But there is no indication that he remembers falling through the cosmos, or that he just had a conversation with a celestial. He looks at his phone and gets shocked to find multiple messages from his boss. Damn, he's late again. After rushing, Ju-yeon arrives at his job and gets shouted at by his angry boss. Ju-yeon can only bow down and repeat apologies. After getting scolded, Ju-yeon starts his day behind the counter. He works as a cashier at a convenience store. As he scans items, he thinks about how awful his situation is. He is doing multiple part-time jobs, but it's not enough to cover his overdue rent. His current job isn't stable either. If only he has awakened something in him. A status window suddenly appears in front of Ju-yeon, telling him that a unique trait has been activated. Skill Master, EX. And just like that, something in Ju-yeon has finally awakened. But what is this unique trait? Why do holographic screens appear like he is in a video game or something? 5 years before Ju-yeon got sent to another dimension, something happened to his own world. Augmented reality became a norm worldwide, which caused spaces called fields to appear, and in these spaces, monsters dwell. Chosen people awaken abilities that allow them to explore and conquer these fields. These people were called users, as they used their magic to subdue monsters in these fields and collect the items and resources after defeating them. This became a lucrative job. Even small tasks in the field could be profitable. And of course, along with money came power and reputation. That was why most people wanted to pursue a career in being a user. This is the world that Ju-yeon returned to when the goddess sent him back. But not all aspects of being a user are pleasurable. First, not everyone is granted a unique trait. Second, even if one does have a trait, it is not a guarantee of good fortune. Some are lucky to have high-grade traits from the start, and some are not to mention the dangers of going to a field to subdue a boss-level monster. It's always a matter of life or death when one enters a field. Since the appearance of fields and monsters and the dominance of users, only one has truly made a name for himself. The #1 user in all over the world, Muhammad Al. He's the first one to reach level 70, and he possesses the SS-grade unique trait, Dragon Speech. Muhammad is certainly not someone to brag about his level or his powers. That is why everyone is surprised when one day he just uploads a video on his personal account that breaks the internet. In the video, he is seen annihilating a pair of boss monsters using a rain of meteors. Not just tiny showers, but a barrage of huge flaming celestial rocks. An SS-level meteor skill. This is the kind of thing that one only sees in fantasy movies or series. People can't believe what they are seeing, even if they live in augmented reality. Seeing something like this is crazy. Muhammad is a certified level 70 mage, but even he won't be able to level an A-grade field. It's simply shocking to see monsters who are capable of destroying a whole city, unable to stand against the fiery, massive meteors. But this isn't what made the people buzz and got excited over. It's the challenge that Muhammad poses after. In 1 week, he dares anyone to show magic more splendid and powerful than what he did. If he is satisfied, he will award that person the Elemental Ring, an SS-grade artifact that hasn't been publicly shown before. It's the ultimate accessory that every user can only dream of. After its upload, this video is all everyone can talk about. In a cafe, 2 experienced users discuss Muhammad's challenge. The woman is skeptical about it. She argues that there is no way anyone can top an SS-level skill. In addition, the condition in which he will award the ring is not fair. Muhammad will be the one to judge if the skill is better than him, which means it's subjective. In conclusion, Muhammad has no real plans of giving away the ring. The woman gets more jealous and angry as she thinks more about this challenge. Still, despite inducing envy and jealousy among everyone, the challenge has become a hot topic in every discussion. It even gets featured in the national news. Everyone wonders who would even dare attempt to outdo the level 70 mage. Then, 1 week later, a man in a sweatshirt, pants, and slippers appears in a field. With a fingers movement as if beckoning something from the sky to fall, a storm of meteors comes crashing down to Earth, greater and more terrible than what Muhammad did. After what seems like forever, the only thing standing is that man, on top of the only piece of rock that hasn't been eroded by the meteors, surrounded by boiling molten rocks. Then the man looks at the camera, and with a shaky smile he praises Muhammad Al's meteor skills. Everyone is beyond shocked upon seeing the video. To see that there is someone who can do better than the #1 mage in the world is astonishing. People flock to comment sections, discussion boards, and internet posts to discuss what they have just watched, and to conclude that Muhammad Al lost. But who exactly is this man? Spoiler alert, it's actually Joo-yeon. But how can he achieve such levels of power when he is just a simple convenience store worker? To understand what he did, let's know more about the magic system of Joo-yeon's world and what exactly his awakened trait is. When users awaken their skills, they are granted one of the 4 known unique traits, namely, Dragon Speech, Miracle, Regeneration, and Lethal Strike. A unique trait amplifies a skill's effect, and they are often understood to be classes which users belong to. Those with Dragon Speech become mages who are more powerful than dragons. Those with Miracle have healing abilities that can even revive the dead. Those with Regeneration are considered tanks as they can regrow missing limbs and continue fighting. And those with Lethal Strike are capable of defeating any enemy. Going back to Joo-yeon 1 week before, after he discovers that he has an awakened trait, he goes to search more about it, reviewing the available classifications of traits. Each trait is classified into grades, and naturally, the higher the grade, the better the effects are. The grades range from F grade as the lowest and SS grade as the highest. The same grades are also applied to subtraits that users develop later on. Those are really helpful information, but only if his trait is one of the 4 known ones. But his unique trait is Skill Master, with a grade of EX. No one has ever seen this kind of trait nor reached this grade that is higher than SS. Looking further, Joo-yeon's stats are base stats, which is useless considering the EX grade. When he checks the description, it says that his trait has 2 subtraits, can use all skills and passive income. Joo-yeon is disappointed, but at least he knows that he can learn more skills from a skill book. He is still unsure about Skillmaster as there is no more information about it. Then a tutorial quest pops up offering him a chance to practice his magic. The tutorial quest offers the activation of his first subtrait named Skill Copy, an ability that allows him to duplicate a skill within 24 hours. This is news to Joo-yeon, as quests don't normally pop up when a trait is awakened. He thinks that if he takes this quest it means he has to go to a field, but his stats, which are all 1, are like a one-way ticket to the grave. He won't survive even at the entrance. Maybe he can look up other options to take the quest. And that's when he finds out about the video that Muhammad uploaded on his channel, including the challenge he gave to all the users. Joo-yeon is surprised to see descriptions for the overpowered Meteor Rain SS grade skill. The most important part is that when it is used with an S grade unique trait or higher, the output increases by 5%. But he is more surprised to see that he is given the chance to copy it. For one time only, he will be given a tutorial map where he can practice his magic and acquire skill copy, and he will practice by watching the video and copying Meteor Rain. This is all weird to Joo-yeon, but as they say, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And that is how he is able to copy Muhammad's terrifying Meteor Rain skill. In his luxurious quarters, Muhammad is smiling as he watches the video of the man who managed to take on his challenge. His secretary, So-yeon, is questioning his decision to give away the elemental ring. It's not every day that one acquires such a valuable SS-grade artifact from the fields. However, Muhammad is more interested to see that there's an exact skill like his, and although the grade is not yet confirmed, it's definitely an SS level. He's confident that the user possesses an SS-grade unique trait. Muhammad orders So-yeon to deliver the ring and tell the person he's looking forward to being friends in the future. A few days later, Joo-yeon is thrilled that his video is still getting views. The tutorial quest has recorded his skill, with his face hidden for anonymity. He becomes more excited as he thinks of possible ways he can earn from the video. If he develops his trait further, then it means more watchable videos, which means a decent profit. Joo-yeon is so focused on his daydreaming that a buff male customer has to pull him back to reality and sell snacks to his crying daughter. Later, however, Joo-yeon slumps on his chair as he realizes that Muhammad may not actually give the ring, but if they do, he's definitely going to use it to earn more money and to finally live in comfort. Joo-yeon daydreams again about becoming powerful, just like Muhammad Al, and enjoying the world's attention. Well, it feels nice to have something to look forward to, even when there's no assurance that it will happen. Just then, he receives a notification from Muhammad himself. saying that he'll give the ring with no hidden agenda. Other comments also vouch for the mage, who is known to keep his word. And indeed, much later, a shocked Joo-yeon is facing So-yeon, Muhammad's secretary, who bears the precious artifact. Even as he lies in bed with the ring on his finger, Joo-yeon still can't believe that he acquired such a powerful item. From the stats, the ring is definitely not fake. It enhances the user's magic, especially when an SS-grade unique trait is being used. Despite this, his stats are still 1. He really needs to hunt in fields to level up. For that he needs armor, and for that, he needs money. Joo-yeon thinks of monetizing his video, but that will mean revealing his identity for channel verification, which is a bummer. He continues to browse the internet for more ideas when he finally stumbles upon an excellent one. Healers are very valuable users, and they don't need to enter a field just to earn money. They can simply station themselves in front of a field, offer skills, and they can still get paid. Hence, Joo-yeon starts copying healing skills. Then he writes an advertisement offering C-grade healing for injuries and F-grade status ailments, along with their corresponding prices. The next day, he stations himself in front of a D-grade swamp field at the park. This is the best spot he can find. And so Joo-yeon entertains himself while waiting for customers, but he doesn't have to wait that long. Soon, a warrior carrying a bloodied woman hurries up to Joo-yeon. The warrior's eyes look menacing and demanding in contrast to Joo-yeon's stupid look. The warrior, with blood on his cheeks and armor, asks Joo-yeon to get his skill ready and heal the woman. At first, Joo-yeon gets irked at the warrior's bossiness, reminding him of how customers look down on him at the convenience store. Joo-yeon wants to show that he's not a nobody, that he is proud and has C-grade healing skills to offer. He demands payment up front, and when the warrior shows him 2001, Joo-yeon suddenly becomes polite and gestures where to lay the patient. Upon looking at the woman, Joo-yeon feels sick as he fully assesses the injuries. There's a deep wound on the stomach and it looks like she coughed up blood. Her clothes are in tatters and her shoes are missing. But the worst is the severed arm, which the warrior is now connecting to the amputated part. Then the warrior turns to Joo-yeon and tells him to hurry up. Joo-yeon is shocked that this, which he only sees in the movies, can really happen in real life. He also feels unsure about whether his copied skill will work. But he has to try, and he has the elemental ring, so things should go smoothly. Thus, Joo-yeon starts reconnecting the severed arm to its body using Light of Recovery C-grade. Much later, Joo-yeon lies on his bed, exhausted after healing his first customers. The warrior demanded him to heal the woman 2 more times, which fortunately went well. But Joo-yeon knows that if he didn't have the ring, his skills wouldn't have been amplified. He looks at the item and wonders, how on earth did that woman get injured so badly? And they were raiding in a D-grade field. Despite witnessing all these, one thing is for sure, Joo-yeon is finally getting richer. In fact, he can finally quit his part-time job at the convenience store and is now enjoying the luxury of the soft bed in a 5-star hotel. Just healing that woman 3 times has given him enough money to make that "I'm rich, I have money" face. Joo-yeon wonders what he should do with the money. Make investments? Buy stocks? Purchase crypto coins? No, the most important thing he must do is to earn SP or skills points to level up. The status window appears, showing him another tutorial quest. This time, Joo-yeon's mission is to raise the level of his subtrait, namely passive income. This subtrait is the key to earning more SP, which will help him further develop his skill master. Thus, leveling up his passive income trait should be the priority for growth. Completing this quest will reward him 100 SP and will unlock another subtrait. Joo-yeon learns that traits and subtraits gain their levels by using SP. Currently, passive income is in level 1, allowing him to earn 10 SP every day. He needs 100 SP to level up his passive income, but he only has 70 SP since activating his magic. This means he needs 3 more days to acquire 30 SP, and after that he will have completed the quest. And to do this, he needs more skills to copy and even think of skill combinations. After receiving his bountiful meal from the hotel's catering services, Joo-yeon starts researching videos showing other users' skills. The thing about researching skills is that those with S-grade or higher have very few videos. And even if Joo-yeon copies them, they disappear from his skill set after midnight. They need to be recorded in a video so he can access them anytime. Of course, as for the meteor skill, Joo-yeon has his idol Muhammad Al to thank for. The #1 mage is such a donation angel to allow his skill to get copied, though Muhammad is not aware yet. Perhaps if Joo-yeon levels up, he'll come to a point where his copied skills will be permanent. But for now, he must focus on finding appropriate skills that he can combine. There's a skill for body hardening. There are also teleportation skills, and so many others. Joo-yeon hasn't been so happy shopping for skills on the internet before now. After his meal, he reflects on his registration with the Users Association as a healer. That way he can continue making money without exerting much effort inside the fields. So if he has both healing and buff magic, Joo-yeon wonders how much his value will skyrocket. Or what if a beautiful mage approaches him and asks for his number? Joo-yeon sleeps bashfully, thinking of all possibilities. The next day, a beautiful mage indeed approaches Joo-yeon and thanks him for what he did before. Unfortunately, Joo-yeon can't remember her. In the first place, it's just unbelievable how he can have any sort of connection with a beautiful mage like her. But the woman, whose name is Kim Hyeji, reminds Ju-yeon that her brother, the warrior who is behind her, brought her here to be healed. And that's when Ju-yeon finally remembers her, the woman with the severed arms whom he healed the other day. Hyeji seems shy but grateful that she can finally thank Ju-yeon for saving her life. She suddenly asks him if he is a part of a party or if he's associated with any guild, to which Ju-yeon says no. Hyeji then offers him a slot in their party. They need a temporary healer for their raids. Ju-yeon is about to decline. He feels he is not ready to go into a field yet, but Hyeji is already working her charms, inviting Ju-yeon to have coffee with her. Ju-yeon would have agreed in a heartbeat when they both heard loud cries coming from the D-grade field in front of them. A warrior is pulling his injured mate out of the field and asks for anyone who can heal him. Ju-yeon jumps into action, heals the warrior, and receives a wad of cash for payment. Direct, simple, and painless transaction. This is more convenient to Ju-yeon. He turns to Hyeji, ugly crying as he declines her invitation, both to the coffee date and to being part of her party. Hyeji tries to assure Ju-yeon that he will be protected. They have an S-grade tank and an S-grade mage in the party, but Ju-yeon is already packing his things up in a rush. And without further ado, he says goodbye to Hyeji. If she, an S-grade mage, has come out of the field half dead, what hope does Ju-yeon have to come out alive? He walks away dramatically, promising to earn more money and SP so he can become a powerful mage soon, and to finally join a beautiful mage like Hyeji in a party. At midnight of the third day, Ju-yeon finally completes his tutorial quest. He earns 30 more SP for a total of 100. He uses this to successfully level his sub-trait passive income from level 1 to level 2. Now, instead of earning 10 SP every day, he will now earn 50, which will considerably quicken his leveling. Ju-yeon checks the rewards for completing his quest. Aside from earning another 100 SP, he also activates a new sub-trait which is called Trait Bestowal at level 1. This means that for every trait he copies, a random unique trait will be granted on that skill. To explain further, any user can use any skill once it's learned through skill books. But a skill's effect can be enhanced by a unique trait, which represents a user's tendencies. In addition, the same skill may be different from one user to another. This means that a skill may become more effective because the inherent trait of the user is compatible with it. Its opposite is also true. And because it will be randomly bestowed every time Ju-yeon copies a skill, he will have no idea if that skill will be effective or not. This is the downside of being a skill master. His unique trait allows him to copy and have any skills he wants. But because he doesn't have other unique traits, his copied skills will be inferior to those who originally have them. Though, the copied skill Meteor Rain may be an exception. This bothers Ju-yeon, especially with the word random. He checks the copied healing skill, Light of Recovery. Its bestowed unique trait is Magic Attack, which in essence is useless because how can an attack enhance a healing magic? But Ju-yeon doesn't let this pull him down. It's better to put this theory into practice to help him form better conclusions. Well then, it's about time he upgrades from being a healer for hire to a full-fledged hunter. Another tutorial quest pops up, and this time he must hunt monsters using a copied skill. Completing this quest will award him 200 SP and will activate another sub-trait for his skill copy. Ju-yeon stares at a distance. He can't help but feel that someone is watching him and giving him the quests he needs to level up. He searches for a skill to copy and he lands on something fiery. Because the trait is randomly bestowed, there should be nothing much to think about. He copies the skill E-grade Fireball, which allows Ju-yeon to summon a flame orb and throw it within a 20-meter radius. Its random unique trait is F-grade Ignition. This means the fireball thrown will have burn effects on hit targets. Ju-yeon is a bit taken aback. Now this really feels like someone is indeed behind the quests, helping him. Days later, Ju-yeon is in front of a field located in a sheep farm. This is the first time he stands close to the entrance of a field. He marvels at how it really looks like augmented reality without any devices around. Ju-yeon is wearing a cloak, which is considered a gear that will provide him minimal protection inside the field. It's not cheap, so he better put this gear to good use. He says goodbye to Ju-yeon, the healer for hire, and says hello to Ju-yeon, the hunter. Days later, after this experience, the comment sections of social media are all talking about the Fire Psycho, the man who annihilated the mobs in the sheep farm with fireballs while grinning maniacally. Ju-yeon sees these comments and recalls what really happened. He remembers several guild members trying to recruit him, apparently impressed with his fireballs. But he declined them all because he wasn't aiming to get recruited. After all, he rejected an offer from an S-rank beauty, albeit in a cringy way. But did he really laugh while hunting those monsters? He only remembers that he grew excited because those monsters were dying faster than expected. Then he remembers that he did have that creepy grin plus his terrifying laughter. So yes, he can't blame the public for calling him the fire psycho, at least he has completed his monster quest. He earns 200 SP and his mana cost, the energy he spends using his magic, is reduced by 10%. Not bad. As Joo-yeon browses an online forum for hunting raids, he sees an announcement for those who want to join the raid for boss monster Obsidian Bear. Since Joo-yeon is in his hunting era, he decides to join this raid. Days later, the comments are about him again, all wondering how the fire psycho is even allowed to fight the monster boss because he is too overpowered. Joo-yeon humbly smiles at these comments. It's all thanks to the elemental ring he won from Muhammad Al. Remembering the #1 mage, Joo-yeon grovels on the floor and offers thanks to Muhammad as he continues to worship him. On his laptop, the video of the raid is playing, showing what really happened on the field. On the day of the raid, the party is ready to launch an attack on the Obsidian Bear. While the users are shouting tactics and warnings, another quest pops in front of Joo-yeon, which tells him he must hunt a field boss monster. Joo-yeon is thinking that would be easy, as the boss monster is already in front of him. He throws a fireball on the bear, causing it to roar in pain and other users to look back at him in shock. Joo-yeon continues to throw fireballs like he's throwing paper into the trash bin until, eventually, the bear collapses on the ground. Everyone looks apprehensive to check on the bear, not believing it is over that quick. To the surprise of everyone, the bear stands up and lets out an ear-splitting roar. The status window tells Joo-yeon that everyone has been exposed to A-grade Obsidian Bear's roar, which has caused all their stats to decrease by 3. The leader of the raid concludes that the bear might have gone berserk due to the damage they caused. All users are panicking because they feel weak after the bear's roar, except for Joo-yeon, who is reading an additional quest. He must copy a boss monster's special skill, and he will be given one free attempt to do it. If successful, he will have 200 SP and another skill copy sub-trait activation. Joo-yeon sees the descriptions for the Obsidian Bear's roar. It activates when its health drops below 50% within 1 minute. It causes all stats of all life forms exposed to the roar to decrease by 3, and if the affected life form's stats are lower than that of the caster, then the stats are decreased further by 2. Meanwhile, the bear's stats increase per 10 life forms exposed to the roar. Joo-yeon copies this skill, and a unique trait gets applied. Oblivion. This means that one random description of the skill gets deleted. Joo-yeon sees that the first description is slowly getting erased, eliminating the condition for the bear to use this skill. This means that Joo-yeon can use this skill anytime without restrictions. Using this skill doesn't cost any mana, and anyway, it would be deleted by midnight. He's not an idiot to not use it before then. And so, Joo-yeon uses the copied Obsidian Bear's roar, much to everyone's dislike. Everyone doubles over in pain and weakness as the roar surrounds them from every direction. All their stats are considered garbage now, except for Joo-yeon's, which have doubled thanks to the effects of the roar on its caster. With everyone weakened, including the bear, Joo-yeon approaches the boss monster for the show's finale. He points a finger up, on which a fireball appears, and then he brings it down, crushing the beast with the massive fiery orb. An instant explosion occurs, and the rest of the raid party can only look on with shocked faces. Joo-yeon succeeds in his 2 quests for that raid: hunt a field boss monster and copy its skill. Several of his stats level up, and he acquires a total of 700 SP. Joo-yeon smiles brightly, feeling exhilarated at the power coursing through him. Right after the bear falls to the ground, the users cheer for Joo-yeon. They have never seen such powerful skills before. It's insane. To Joo-yeon, their cheers somehow invoke a familiar feeling. It's like he has experienced this before, but it can't be. He's just an ordinary guy who happens to have awakened a broken unique trait. Taking his attention is the status window saying that the soul of the Obsidian Bear is getting absorbed. Joo-yeon realizes that this must be the boss monster soul that he only heard about before. For more context, each field has a level limit for users hunting in them. In addition, a field boss level is at least 10 times higher than the field itself. So if a user asks help from another one whose level is significantly higher than the field's limit, the defeated boss monster will simply vanish instead of yielding items. However, in the event that a party, in which all users are within the field's limit, manages to defeat the boss monster, the system will reward the users with items that are worth hundreds, if not thousands each. These items, along with the boss monster carcass, can sell expensively and be made into high-value materials. This is why users risk their lives inside a field, for the glory and money that it gives to those who dare and succeed. Besides the material loot, the boss monster soul can permanently increase the stats of those who participated in the raid. Joo-yeon can already feel his stats leveling up after absorbing the bear's soul, and he knows that the same is true for his fellow users. Everyone gathers around Joo-yeon to celebrate his contribution and to thank him for helping. They all acknowledge that Joo-yeon and their leader are the MVPs of this raid, even calling Joo-yeon the psychopath. Although the leader humbly says that Joo-yeon's attacks have made all the difference, He also acknowledges the efforts of everyone who participated. Then he checks the dragon gauntlet looted from the obsidian bear. It is indeed valuable as it is the main boss item, but it can only be used if the owner has 30% remaining health. A bit tricky to use, and Joo-yeon personally won't go for it if given the chance. The leader eventually decides that all their loot will be distributed through the player association, to the general agreement of everyone. However, a group of men barges into their conversation and offers to buy the gauntlet for 90% of the appraised value and pay in cash. Joo-yeon doesn't know who they are, but the others are familiar with these men. The users call them boss item hunters, people who show up like ghosts just to buy boss items for an exorbitant amount of money. Joo-yeon realizes that there are all sorts of people, and then there are weird ones like these guys buying the loot. It makes him suspicious of what they are up to. But when presented with a case filled with cold hard cash, Joo-yeon's suspicions fly out the window. Nothing beats cash up front. Days later, Joo-yeon returns to selling healing services in front of fields. He laments how he doesn't have enough money to buy the E-grade Recta's leather armor set, which is worth 63 million won, despite earning millions from his 2 previous hunts. He has promised the sales lady he'd be back with the money, if only she could just wait a little longer. Joo-yeon is grateful that he can now collect the special skills of boss monsters whose souls he's absorbed, and he can copy them anytime. Right now he only has the Obsidian Bear's roar, but he can't use it effectively. Remember, he can only use it when his health is lower than 50% within 1 minute. Plus, it has the Oblivion trait, which randomly erases one description of the skill. A fat lot it will do in hunting. Well, at least he managed to sue it before it disappeared. While waiting for new customers, Joo-yeon decides to spend his SP and stat points to level up his traits. Currently, Joo-yeon is a level 8 user with a unique trait, Skill Master. His strength has gone up to 2, and his magic power is now 41. He has 7 extra points, which he can allocate anywhere, but he chooses to put them in magic. It's a wise move considering he doesn't have extra lives like in a game. As for the SP, he decides to use it to upgrade his first sub-trait, which is Skill Copy. From copying once, Joo-yeon can now copy skills twice, and any duplicate skills will be overwritten. Just then, a new tutorial quest appears, in which he must accomplish daily quests to obtain 300 SP. Daily quests are one of the ways to earn more SP and obtain more rewards. With this quest, a sub-trait activates. His daily quest will be F rank or higher and will always reset at midnight. For that, Joo-yeon's daily quest is to use Skill Copy twice, and he'll be rewarded 80 SP. Joo-yeon wonders what will happen if he copies the same skill twice. He chooses the skill Healing Light, which has a random unique trait of conservation. Now, if Joo-yeon copies this skill again, will the unique trait change or remain the same? He proceeds with this little experiment, and what he discovers is another jackpot of an instant money-making scheme. Later, he writes a new advertisement on the board. Aside from selling heals, he's selling experience buffs of 5% with 5-hour duration, each for 1 million won. Users who see his ads can't believe that it's possible to sell experience buffs, or if they even exist. Of course, most users will think this is just a scam. But the fact that users are coming to him to check on his offer is a testament to Joo-yeon's selling skills. Perhaps his unique trait should have been entrepreneurship or something similar. As users approach him, one lady boldly walks towards him. She is wearing a cloak and carrying her staff. She then removes her hood and greets Joo-yeon like an old friend. It's Hyeji, and she's still recruiting Joo-yeon to join her party. As usual, Joo-yeon is blinded by Hyeji's beauty. Her aura is simply overwhelming. Once Joo-yeon gets over it, he tells her he's in the middle of selling heals and experience right now. Hyeji can see that, and since they're off to a field, she decides to buy Joo-yeon's goods, making her brother frown in confusion. Immediately, Joo-yeon leads them, still holding the handmade placard advertising his goods. Oddly, Big Bro feels deja vu looking at Joo-yeon. The siblings are Joo-yeon's first customers, so he makes sure to properly cast the Light of Recovery healing skill over them, along with the additional 5% combat experience. Afterwards, Hyeji gives Joo-yeon a calling card, still inviting him to their party. Joo-yeon finds out that their party is called Flames of Apocalypse, and that Kim Hyeji is an S-rank flame sorceress. Hyeji urges Joo-yeon to give her a call soon, as their party really needs a skilled healer. Then the siblings walk away, telling the surrounding users that Joo-yeon's buffs are legit and guaranteed effective. Soon, users swarm to Joo-yeon to buy his heals and 5% exp. It must have felt good for Joo-yeon getting slapped with wads of cash here and there selling his goods, although it's a bit bummer that he can't accept cards at the moment. Later, as the siblings walk inside the field, Big Brother remarks how Hyeji called him a pushover before, and now she's approaching that newbie healer with no gear at all. Hyeji reiterates to her brother that their party, with her dealing the offense and him doing a solid tank, is pretty well rounded, except for the fact that they lack a healer, and that Joo-yeon fits their team. Big Brother points out that Joo-yeon is still a newbie, but that's the point, Hyeji says. It means they can utilize whatever potential Joo-yeon may possess before others can find out about it. As she speaks, she points her staff and uses Firestorm, a skill that one-shots all the monsters approaching them. Turning to her brother, Hyeji says she's confident that Joo-yeon may turn out to be an incredible ranker later on. And speaking of Joo-yeon, he's finally getting the full set of armor he wanted to buy. It's the Recta Leather Armor Set S grade, which gives all stats an additional 2 points. Still, he thinks that passive income is much better than whatever he earns. So using his additional SP, he levels his subtrait passive income up. He earns an additional 50 SP, plus from now on, he can earn 200 SP daily at midnight. With this, even if he stays still, he can accumulate more to level up his other traits. When he checks the required SP, however, his smile slowly fades. 2000 SP required for trait bestowal level 2, 3000 for daily quests level 2, and 4,000 for skill copy level 3. In total, Joo-yeon needs 9,800 SP more since he just got 200 today, which means he needs 49 more days to accumulate them. Joo-yeon thinks it's better not to think about complicated things at the moment. Then he remembers he can earn more by doing daily quests, so he better hurry up and do a field boss hunt. And for that, he's actually come prepared. Since Joo-yeon's face is known as the healer, he needs something to disguise himself, so he pulls a Clark Kent move and wears eyeglasses. Then he proceeds to the next field. Unfortunately, it's located in a mudflat, an F-rank field at Gororum Bay. With the muddy ground, melee users and tanks are useless. He wonders if this is because this field is for experienced users, unlike the clean sheep farm field where beginners start. If only there wasn't a field level limit, he wouldn't have to struggle collecting boss souls. A quick fact check, the level limit for F-rank fields is level 19, and only up to 5 field boss souls per rank can be absorbed. In addition to this, Joo-yeon learns a very important lesson when raiding for field bosses. Never apply to a recruitment post in the community thinking it will be a good raid. Just don't go with a pug or a pickup group. And yet, Joo-yeon joined a pug because the last one with the obsidian bear went well. Now he's discovering that this time's raid is more like a group date, with users pairing up with each other. And since Joo-yeon registered using a play on his name that looks like a girl's name, the last male user is so disappointed to find out that Joo-yeon is, well, also male. Anyway, the leader of the raid, Blonde Appa, starts gathering everyone for the briefing. He reminds them again of their agreed strategy. The field's boss, the mudflat crab, gets faster each time it gets hit with a debuff, so it's best not to apply any when engaging it. This trait is also true with self-inflicted debuffs. For example, if it bleeds, it's counted as a negative stat, and therefore makes the boss monster much faster. So they need to kill it without wounding it too much. Once the debuffs are stacked, the mudflat crab uses its skill. Blonde Oppa boasts that it has captured the creature 8 times before, so there's no need to worry about its skills. But Joo-yeon thinks that perhaps gaining stats from debuffs is the special skill itself. If that's the case, then isn't debuff equal to buff? Joo-yeon realizes this raid may be more useful than expected. Blonde Appa tells his partner Yoo-ju that he'll protect her, which makes her feel giddy and makes Joo-yeon cringe. Soon, monsters start attacking the party. These ferocious clams have sharp pointed teeth, but they're also so small that they're better off as ingredients in a clam noodle soup. Still, the users do their best to kill them off. Just as Blonde Appa tells everyone that he's going to protect them, giant centipedes burst out from the earth. Blonde Appa conveniently steps backward, making Joo-yeon question whether it's really okay to trust this pompous guy. The party continues to attack, as the boss monster only appears once a certain number of monsters are defeated. Joo-yeon has misgivings about the talents of his fellow users. After all, they are in an F-grade field which is easy to level, so when will the mudflat crab appear? Just then, a monstrous claw with sharp teeth appears out of the ground. Finally, the boss monster is here. Blonde Appa warns everyone that the mudflat crab only moves sideways, so they have to make sure that they will stay in front of it and move forward or backward. Joo-yeon reads the boss monster's skill, Change Resistance A grade. It can resist change caused by buffs or debuffs. All its stats gain +1 per stacked buff or debuff, and when 5 or more buffs debuffs are stacked, its stats gain an additional 5 points. Joo-yeon grins appreciatively. Now this is a jackpot. The mudflat crab goes on a rampage, scattering the users away from it. Although it can only move sideways, it can change direction quickly, adding to its terrifying random movements. While his fellow users are attacking or scampering away, Joo-yeon continues to reflect on the boss monster's skill. If the skill has no condition to activate, then it means it's constantly active. Joo-yeon's eyes glitter with delight as he realizes the potential of this skill that increases stats the more buffs or debuffs are applied. Then he gets distracted when Blonde Oppa reminds everyone to use physical attacks. He's supposed to be the main tank, so Joo-yeon frowns at why this guy is still at the back. Ignoring him, Joo-yeon continues to think. If they carry on with physical attacks, eventually the monster will bleed, which means it will gain a debuff. He looks at his fellow users, who continue to rain arrows on the boss monster. It clicks in his head that other tanks are attracting the monster's attention while others are raining arrows on it. So this must be why most of the recruited users are range fighters. Despite all this, Joo-yeon thinks that their strategy is taking too long, as well as being ineffective because there's no way they can take it down like this. Just then, Blonde Appa finally steps forward for his main character moment. He orders Hyo-ju to give him a buff. Hyo-ju gets ready, and with cutesy hand movements, she starts casting the buff. Joo-yeon scoffs at them. He can't help but mock their cringy antics while in a fight. But golden lights start reaching him. And when he looks at them, he's so shocked at what he sees. Hyo-ju just cast a skill called Radiant Power S-Grade. It applies 4 random buffs to the target, plus 1 per 50 mana. Casting this skill costs 1000 mana. The duration of this skill increases by 100% if the user possesses an S-rank or higher buff type unique trait. This skill only applies A rank or higher buffs if mana is 150 or higher. When used on oneself, the duration increases by 100% and the effect increases by 50%. Joo-yeon's eyes go round as he records every detail of this skill using his glasses. He can't believe there's an SS rank buff skill in this F-grade field. Days before this raid, Joo-yeon had been offered a valuable item by the same lady who sold him the armor set. Joo-yeon thought he was recognized, but the woman was simply selling a pair of high-grade eyeglasses that could record battle scenes. This was popular among users who record videos and upload them on UserTube. Also, it's useful to record awesome final moments for all relatives and acquaintances to see. What an ominous selling pitch. Now Joo-yeon is satisfied that he's bought the eyeglasses. Not only did he manage to record the boss monster's skill, but he also recorded this unexpectedly helpful buff skill. Since he can now copy 2 skills at a time if he combines Change Resistance, which increases stats for every buff or debuff, with Radiant Power, a buffing skill, then he would be unstoppable. This is amazing, but why does a buffer like Hyo-ju exist in this place? Anyhow, Joo-yeon sees that Blonde Appa is preparing to launch his attack. Blonde Appa turns to Joo-yeon and orders him to land an attack. Well, if he says so, it's time for Joo-yeon to take center stage as he shoots a huge fireball towards the mudflat crab. And using his trump card, he adds the Skill Explosion D-Grade. It detonates embers within 20 m, it requires 25 mana and costs 250 mana. The unique trait granted to it is Chain Explosion F-Grade, in which targets hit by 3 or more overlapping explosions take 10% additional damage. Once the skill does its job and the dust settles, a mouth-watering smell permeates the air. The mudflat crab has been damaged, or rather boiled, to a point where it looks like a delectable boiled king crab dish. Everyone is stunned at this sudden end to their raid. But Blonde Appa hasn't had his main character moment yet. He tells everyone to get back as he rushes forward to give the final blow, which is rather an underwhelming one, and allows precious items to come out of the crab's cooked body. The mudflat crab's soul is finally released and absorbed by the users, increasing their stats. Only Hyo-ju cheers for Blonde Appa, while the others think he's too pathetic with his actions. Joo-yeon sees that the boss monster skill Change Resistance has been added to his boss skill list. Good, now he just needs to go home and rest, and then he can test the synergy between this skill and Radiant Power. To his surprise, the users gather around him thinking he has an S-rank unique trait or admiring how he hard-carried the whole party. Before, no one was paying attention to Joo-yeon. Now they want to get his number and hang out with him. Blonde Appa tries to get back the attention by mentioning the distribution of items. But Hyo-ju says that Joo-yeon should get the biggest share. Everyone agrees to this, and Blonde Appa kneels on the ground, defeated. A few feet away from them, a man from the group Boss Item Hunters relays the message that no boss item was dropped in this field, and that they should move to the next spot. With that, he quietly leaves. While the others still admire Joo-yeon, Hyo-ju looks at the sky, her eyes turning red. Days later, Joo-yeon finally tests his newly copied skills as part of his daily quests. He's doing well, considering he just awakened his skill recently, but he wonders how long it will take him to get to skill copy level 3. Both the Radiant Power and Change Resistance are incredible buffs, but the problem is that his sample skill is still at level 2, allowing him only 2 copies in a day. If he can copy more skills that focus on attacks, then the 2 buff skills would indeed be more useful. He needs 4000 SP to reach level 3, but he's nowhere near that number yet. He throws his hands and feet in the air like a child having a tantrum. Gaining SP is so slow with the way things are right now. He looks at the sky and jokingly asks if there's a kind administrator up there listening and willing to give him a decent quest. As if that will happen. But as they say, be careful what you wish for. A red status window opens up showing him that a main quest has finally arrived. Completing this quest will give him 4000 SP and will activate a 4th sub-trait. Joo-yeon is curious, what kind of quest will it be? Then he looks up at the suddenly darkening sky, which can also be seen all over the city. Pillars of light form connecting the sky to the ground. This main quest is an F-rank special field named Sky Island Canal, with limits from level 1 to 39. In this quest, Joo-yeon must clear the F-rank special field. Doing this will give him 10,000 SP, a selection ticket for sub-trait upgrade, and a random Skill Master reward box. It must be noted that special fields are strictly monster territories, and as these fields increase in number, the field conversion of Earth accelerates. This means that the more fields appear, the closer the Earth will become a full-fledged monster planet. But the most important thing to note is the last line of the quest's description. Joo-yeon must clear the special field for the survival of Earth and humanity. All major news outlets in the country can only report one thing: the sudden appearance of a massive F-rank special field called Sky Island Canal, which has stationed itself above Seoul and Gyeonggi Province. The pillars of light connecting the Sky Island to the ground are presumed to be entryways into the field. The user association has been in emergency control since this happened, doing its best to address this unforeseen phenomenon. Airports affected by the island have cancelled all of their flights and have suspended their operations indefinitely. Citizens affected are all complaining about insufficient sunlight, but what can they do about a massive island suddenly floating above their heads in the sky? One interviewed sea level user confirms that the field's entry level is from 1 to 39. It's best for the association to expedite the authorization for portal entry. On the third day after this happened, it is revealed that special fields have also appeared in various locations around the world. In Japan, instead of a sky island, a massive landmass attached itself next to Tokyo. People who watch this news think Japan has it easy. Compared to the sky island that appeared in Korea, at least the Japanese will still get a little bit of sunlight, but that's way too far from the main problem. Since it's a landmass, monsters can easily cross the boundary and go over Tokyo. The special field there is a B class, and all monsters are level 70. No wonder videos speculating about the end of humanity are circulating on the internet. Level 70 is almost S class, and the special field there has an entry level between 41 and 70. Joo-yeon hears all these speculations brought about by the news. On the other side of the road, a small group of people are listening to a man who tries to explain the situation. Apparently, this man is a representative from the Users Association and is telling everyone that the institution receives active support from the government to help facilitate raids as quickly as possible. One of the plans for this is to offer bounties to those who can clear the Sky Island Canal. As he stops in front of the user shop, Joo-yeon looks like he's not concerned, but he does acknowledge that things have become messy as of late. Prior to this, he was checking if he could get SP in advance. He reviews how much he needs to level up all of his sub-traits. For passive income, he needs 5,000. For trait bestowal, 2,000. For efficiency, 800 SP, and for sample, 4,000 SP. Adding to those, he also needs to level up the daily quest, which needs 3,000 SP. Considering that the total amount he will earn if he completes the main quest is 14,000 SP plus his accumulated SP before this, Joo-yeon thinks he will have enough to level them up. It's a tall order and ambitious really, but Joo-yeon is determined to clear the field. That is why he is currently at the shop to acquire new items worth 70 million won. The E-grade Cursed Mana Ring, which gives plus 100 mana but decreases strength by 1, and the E-grade Cursed Mana Bracelet, which also gives plus 100 mana but decreases agility. If Joo-yeon buys the whole set, he will have gained an additional 200 mana, but his stamina will decrease by 2. The same saleslady who sold him the eyeglasses and armor set seems to be happy that she's closing the deal. But for Joo-yeon, it's an additional 400 mana, which will definitely help him in this quest. He chooses to boost his magic powers instead of his physical stats, which he thinks is the safer choice. Still, he asks for the price of a D to C-class set of armor, to which the saleslady happily answers 400 million won. Never mind then, Joo-yeon thinks, as he will take the accessories for now. Once he's ready, Joo-yeon stands in front of one of the light pillars, knowing it's a portal to the Sky Island. Instead of his glasses, he opts for a body cam, which, now that he thinks about it, is more suitable for action-packed raids. Thinking about the saleslady, Joo-yeon realizes he may have been scammed. Focusing on the present, Joo-yeon checks first the community reviews to get a picture of what he should expect. In general, the reviews are more like complaints than anything. One user says the attack power is insane compared to regular monster field level. Another one says a high-level user got wiped out completely. There's also one warning melee users to stay away, as most of the monsters are airborne. Thus, why it is called a Sky Island. Tanks can't even do their job, and ranged attackers are scared. One user even reasons out that because the Sky Island is airborne, the oxygen is thinner, making them winded after running a little bit. Joo-yeon reminds himself that this Sky Island is an F rank, not a higher class. Perhaps those reviewers are just negatively exaggerating. In the end, it's he who can judge for himself how hard it will be. He finally steps inside the portal and instantly he gets transported to the special field. It isn't what he expected, and Joo-yeon is actually impressed. At first glance, the place looks like a Windows screensaver, a wide expanse of lush grasslands bordered by majestic mountains in the distance. A perfect place for picnics, except for the unusual basketball-sized slime green creatures crawling on the ground, and the birds that fly in the sky aren't usual birds. They are mutated to have scaled wings, a body of a lion, and large talons that can easily grab a human being. One winged monster flies past Joo-yeon, carrying a user who's crying for help, and then drops him carelessly. Joo-yeon thinks that retreating is the best choice, but if a monster comes close to him, it will turn into a roasted bird with his fireball. To Joo-yeon's surprise, all the monsters suddenly fly right past him and attack something behind him. And there, behind him, are the Kim siblings, Hyeji and her big brother. Joo-yeon witnesses just how strong the siblings are. Big Bro easily tanks the winged monsters flocking over him. Then Hyeji confidently points her staff forward and uses her firestorm magic to one-shot all the monsters. Joo-yeon is simply dumbfounded. Their magic is incredibly strong, and it's like the monsters are nothing to them. Hyeji even stretches after the attack. Joo-yeon hears the brother warning her sister not to let her guard down or else she will get hurt like last time. Joo-yeon contemplates copying her skill, not noticing the green slime crawling towards him. Hyeji responds that she wouldn't have been injured badly if they had a healer in their party. She still regrets not successfully recruiting that guy who healed her before. Then she turns around and sees that exact guy a few feet away from them, shaking the slime that has attached itself to his leg. Joo-yeon realizes the siblings have seen him too, and there's an awkward pause before Hyeji greets him cheerfully. Noting that he seems too busy, Joo-yeon tries for a smile but can only grimace. Damn, what will he do? And the slime seems to have taken a liking to him. The little slime cries as Big Bro pulls it off Joo-yeon's leg. Joo-yeon is grateful. He doesn't want his expensive shoes to become a snack for these slimes. Big Bro looks at Joo-yeon as he throws the slime away. He thinks that Joo-yeon is definitely the guy who healed his sister back at the park. Big Bro turns around and looks at Hyeji. Surely she wouldn't add Joo-yeon to their party, would she? Yes, she would. In fact, she's already activated her charms as she approaches Joo-yeon. Running into him again, this feels like fate is telling them to party up. Joo-yeon flinches. He only planned to hunt today and did not expect to run into them. He asks Hyeji if she can let go of his arm, but Hyeji seems to have heard differently, telling Joo-yeon she will definitely carry him through today. Joo-yeon gives a sigh of defeat. There's no point refusing an insistent girl. If that's the case, then he must copy the Light of Recovery skill to use in healing them. Hyeji's face lightens up as Joo-yeon agrees to go with them. In return, he asks if he can go to the restroom first. Of course, Joo-yeon cannot exactly tell them that he needs to watch a video from UserTube to copy a skill, so going to the restroom is his best excuse. The siblings are confused. Is this guy willing to go commando in this wide expanse of grasslands? Joo-yeon smiles awkwardly. If it means he's going to be known as someone who has bad stomach aches just to keep his secret, then so be it. Later, another group of winged monsters flies towards them, this time carrying boulders between their talons. Big Bro raises his shield, protecting them from the attack. Joo-yeon realizes he's cooked if he's alone, and he wonders if the monsters are actually intelligent for carrying the boulders. On the ground, a herd of rhinoceros monsters rampages towards them. Joo-yeon is about to act, but Hyeji is faster. She even winks at him before releasing continuous fire spells. Firewall, Fire Rain, and Fire Spear. Her magic defeats the birds and the rhinoceros without breaking a sweat. Big Bro reprimands his sister not to step forward as that was how she got injured before. But Hyeji waves the concern aside, saying there's no need to worry. Joo-yeon is really impressed with the siblings. He asks if S-Class users usually have a lot of skills. Inwardly, he thinks that X-Class users can probably have more. Hyeji answers yes, explaining that most skills were learned by buying skill books. So it's about money then, Joo-yeon concludes glumly. Behind them, another monster rises from the lake. The siblings run forward, putting Joo-yeon behind them. But Joo-yeon, still thinking about whether he needs to buy skill books, uses his fireball to destroy the monster. The siblings turn to him, stunned to witness what he can do. On Joo-yeon's part, he's also surprised. Normally, he summons a regular-size fireball, but this time he summons a meteor level one. Hyeji confronts him, asking him to be honest and tell them about his real abilities. Joo-yeon makes an excuse that this is just normal, but in his mind he realizes that a random, unique trait has been granted to his skill. The trait is F-grade overcharge, which increases the skill mana consumption by 100%, as well as the additional damage by 20%. Not worth it. In the end, Joo-yeon manages to convince the siblings that even though he's a healer, he also learned defensive skills to level up. Then how about his mana? Hyeji asks, and Joo-yeon says he has a decent amount. He doesn't want to reveal that he still has 1408 left. Only Big Bro is not convinced by Joo-yeon's crap excuses. There's definitely something about this guy, and he doesn't know if it's good or bad. As for Joo-yeon, he notices the other users nearby, so he needs to be extra careful when using his skills, or else everything will be revealed. Speaking of other users, they are targeting the slimes. One asks how long they need to keep doing this. One responds, saying he needs to keep his guard up against the flying monster. Bored, the first user insists he's keeping an eye out. It's just that he didn't expect to come here to the Sky Island only to kill slimes. Well then, if he's looking for an action, he should go and fight the larger ones like the others are doing in front of them. Then, out of nowhere, a status window appears. informing them that the number of slain lifeforms on Sky Island has met the conditions to summon the field boss monster. The users, surrounded by the monsters they killed, are still unaware that an incomprehensible creature is descending on them. Finally, the Lord of the Sky Island awakens, hovering above them and blocking the sun's light. They don't know if it's an angel or something more sinister. At once, this creature activates a deadly skill, S-grade Sword of the Heavens. It summons one sword for every lifeform killed on Sky Island. The damage is increased by 1 for each sword summoned. If the unique trait Sky Island is possessed, then the number of summoned swords increases by 100%. If the unique trait Sky Island is possessed, then the effect Condemnation E-grade is added to the skill. This specific skill requires 60 mana, but has 0 mana consumption. Joo-yeon is dumbfounded upon reading the insane description of this skill. It's an AoE, or Area of Effect Attack, a powerful attribute that targets multiple hits within an area. But he has no time to think more. He and Hyeji hide behind Big Bro, who does his best to tank the attack. It feels endless as the swords rain down on them. They are lucky, unlike others who have no cover and whose lives are left to fate. Once the barrage is over, Big Bro kneels, feeling the debuff caused by the attack. All his stats are decreased for 10 minutes. Joo-yeon immediately heals Big Bro, then he looks at the angel-like creature that attacked them. It's a level 59 Canal that possesses the unique trait Sky Island A-grade. It has 3 skills: Sword of the Heavens S-grade, Medium Speed Enhancement A-grade, and Descent A-grade. Its stats are overwhelming compared to his. Joo-yeon looks at the sibling and suggests they should run for now. Just then, a B-grade subquest opens for Joo-yeon. He must eliminate Canal and destroy the special field. Once done, special rewards will be granted, plus he'll receive 5,000 SP and Canal's skill. Will Joo-yeon accept this quest? A few days later, in front of Seoul Grand Park's D-Class Swamp Field, many users gather to answer the calls for joining the Canal raid team. Those who regularly raid in this field are astonished to find so many high-ranking users, especially in a D-rank field. Almost all are B-class or higher, and most of them are famous on UserTube. One wonders why so many big shots are gathered here. His friend answers that it's because of the preliminary meeting for the Canal raid team. Basically, this D-Class Swamp is just a warm-up for them, and to do so means they are the elites. Behind these illustrious men is Joo-yeon, feeling small and cowering with uncertainty. Can he really be here? He's ditched his robe armor so no one will recognize him as the Fire Psycho. Still, he feels unsure whether he belongs. Then someone calls his name. It's Hyeji, who looks excited to see him. Behind her is Big Bro with his usual frown. Joo-yeon is relieved to see someone he knows. He asks Hyeji if it's okay for him, an F-class, to be included here when the requirement for recruitment is at least B-class. For context, Joo-yeon has registered himself as an F-class healer in the association. Here we go again, Hyeji says, waving Joo-yeon's concern off. What F-class healer uses C-class healing skills? Besides, debuff removal is essential for this raid, so those who have that skill are mostly welcome. Anyways, they should be meeting the raid leader already. Just as Hyeji says that, an armored man finally arrives. His presence alone demands the attention of every user within the vicinity. Hyeji excitedly points out that he's finally here, and Joo-yeon cannot believe he's meeting that legendary man. The Canal raid team leader, and the #1 user within the Daehan Guild's ranks, is none other than SS-class warrior Lee Hae-sung. Hae-sung goes straight to the point. Before the briefing for the Canal raid, it's essential to test the members' abilities first. With that said, they're going to do a warm-up raid inside the D-Class Swamp. Hyeji enthusiastically agrees with this and is excited to finally get her revenge on those monsters. Meanwhile, Joo-yeon is still shocked. Rude and bossy, Hae-sung simply gives the orders and everyone follows. Is Joo-yeon offended? Not really. Is he impressed? Totally. He might have become Hae-sung's #1 fanboy. Inside the D-Class Swamp, users easily level the monsters while Joo-yeon and other healers stay at the back to tend to injuries. He keeps repeating how cool Hae-sung is with his big sword and manly armor. Then he tells himself off for even thinking he can hold a sword as big as Hae-sung's. He reminds himself that he has low physical stats, and that he only gets by thanks to the elemental ring, which gives him 30 magic power, 500 mana, and 10% mana regeneration. He still believes that improving his magic skills is the best decision. Still, a part of Joo-yeon wonders how it feels to wield a sword. It's a familiar feeling, like a buried memory in his mind that once he was strong enough to hold a sword and defeat enemies with it. Joo-yeon returns his attention to healing, telling himself that he must put aside that desire until he finally raises his physical stats. Besides, close quarters combat is dangerous. He looks at Hyeji beside him and marvels at how good she is at wielding her range magic. Out of nowhere, a mysterious voice speaks in Joo-yeon's mind, just as Joo-yeon sees Hae-sung activate his skill. In one sword stroke, Hae-sung annihilates multiple monsters, and there's something dark about his aura just now. The mysterious voice tells Joo-yeon that with his skills, it would be a waste to hide them. And just like that, Joo-yeon seems to have found an answer to his dilemma. Hae-sung's skill is called Bloodstained Battle SS rank. It allows absorption of the target's stats once the user gets drunk on the blood of defeated monsters. This effect disappears 5 minutes after the end of the combat. When possessing an S-class or higher combat type unique trait, additional stats are absorbed upon absorbing the blood of 10 monsters. If strength is 50 or higher, magic power increases by 10% of strength. If stamina is 50 or higher, agility increases by 10% of stamina. There it is, a crazy skill that instantly raises physical stats. Hai Sung stands among the slain monsters, his cape drenched in their blood, and his bloodlust fills the air. Then the marshland field boss monster finally appears, the Poison Lizard King. Everyone gets alert upon seeing it, but Hai Sung simply prepares for his ultimate attack. He activates his skill, Limit Break S grade, which increases his attack power not by points but by 1 rank. It also says that if the user possesses a combat type unique trait of rank S or higher, all stats are increased by 5. It costs 580 mana and requires 20 magic power. In one stroke, Hyasung slices the boss's body into 2, defeating it completely. Status windows show that the soul of the field boss is now being absorbed by the users. Joo-yeon registers the boss's skill, Jade Beauty, into his boss skill list. Big Bro remarks how easy it is to clear the field, and when Hyeji says she could have done it before, he only makes a sarcastic reply. Joo-yeon wonders why he still gets to receive the boss's soul, even though he didn't participate in the hunt. Normally a user doesn't get anything from the raid when he or she doesn't contribute. Hyeji explains that since he's been debuffing everyone throughout the entire raid, the system counts it as a contribution, and makes him eligible for the rewards. Joo-yeon is surprised. No wonder healers can easily level up. Still stained with the enemy's blood, Hyasung addresses the party for the briefing of their Kainel raid. He talks about analyses on the attributes of the Sky Island monsters, but all his words are passing through Joo-yeon's one ear to the other because he's not interested in those discussions. He's reading the latest skill that's been added to his arsenal, Catalyst B grade, which amplifies the effects on poisoned enemies. If this skill is stacked 3 or more times, it transforms into lethal poison. It costs 800 mana and requires 40 magic power. Joo-yeon hasn't seen the skill in action, but it might come in handy one day. Anyway, he's more excited about the new skills he just copied from Hyasung. The Limit Break S grade and the Bloodstained Battle SS grade or Blood Frenzy are prime skills he's lucky to witness firsthand. Joo-yeon is so engrossed with his skill loot that Hyasung gets weirded out by his expression when he addresses the healers. Joo-yeon can't wait to try out these skills. One day before the Kainel raid, Joo-yeon is seen plopping on his bed, tired after finishing his recent raid. When he checks his status window, he sees that he's finally collected 4,000 SP, which means he can come in prepared during the Kainel raid. Since the briefing at the Swamp Field, Joo-yeon has been completing E-rank quests just to collect the SPs needed. He has slaughtered crustaceans, 3-horned bulls, ground-type monsters, and monsters with fire attribute skills. There are so many quests popping up he can't find time to rest, but that has allowed him to finally raise the level of his skill copy. Applying all 4,000 SP, his skill copy is now at level 3, which means his copy count gets charged 23 times. Joo-yeon's main goal is to buff his attack power with Brilliant Authority, a skill that adds 4 additional buffs, and Resistance to Change, a skill that adds points to stats for every buff or debuff received. It will be a serious combo in completing a field. But since Hyasung has just shown him his SS grade skills, there's a more interesting output. If Blood Frenzy, Brilliant Authority, and Resistance to Change are applied to one attack skill, it would be the ultimate combo, far surpassing the original ones. Joo-yeon wishes he could use 4 skills all at once, but alas, he can only use 3 for now. Still, he has Fireball for his attack, so it's worth seeing how it synergizes with Brilliant Authority and Resistance to Change. Later, the internet is buzzing again upon seeing the videos showing the skills of Fire Psycho. The comments mention seeing him in the Gapyeong area, where he faced the mountain snake field boss. In the video, the users are seen panicking upon seeing the giant snake, but the hooded figure, recognized as Fire Psycho, lures the snake away and shoots it with a huge fireball. What's even more surprising is his agility, which looks too fast for a simple mage. The users are too mesmerized. They only manage to dodge the snake heading towards them in the nick of time. Fire Psycho hits it with another fireball, lures it away, and hits it again. The users are dumbfounded to witness a crazy bastard taking down a boss with chip damage. Meanwhile, Muhammad Al arrives at his quarters. He has just watched the video of Fire Psycho soloing the mountain snake. His secretary So-yeon reports about the completion of the field inspection schedule and reminds him he still has an hour and 24 minutes until his next commitment. But Muhammad is not paying attention. He's amused watching Fire Psychopath's performance. When So-yeon asks if he's concerned about the guy, Muhammad says yes. He is certain that fire psychopath is Yoo Ju-yeon. It hasn't been long since Muhammad gave him the elemental ring, and yet Ju-yeon is showing agility and stamina feats that shouldn't be affected by the ring. It looks like Ju-yeon is someone who's been skilled in combat for a long time. Muhammad then asks about the movements of the Raider Guild, another mysterious organization. So Yeon responds that his predictions were correct. Sightings of the members near the special fields have been reported. Muhammad orders her to keep a close look at the raiders as well as the psycho user. With that much attention, it won't be long before the raiders will put their attention on him. Muhammad hopes they won't trouble his friend. However, it seems like the raiders are already keeping their eyes on Fire Psycho. After the Gapyeong raid, Ju-yeon goes back to the special field, Sky Island, where he finally watches videos of him going all out against the mountain snake. Ju-yeon gets annoyed after realizing that other users are taking advantage by recording his fights. These videos are uploaded to UserTube, so these users are definitely making money. And he can't complain about his right of publicity because his face is well hidden. But wouldn't it be better to upload the videos himself? He can get his channel verified and use footage from his body cam, and the title will be Level 10 Beginner Mage Solos E-Rank Mountain Snake. Surely it will rake in millions of views, and he can create a second account to avoid getting recognized as Fire Psycho. And in the end, he'll receive the coveted golden button. It's nice to daydream about it. But Ju-yeon returns to reality and wonders how he will gather those materials during the night. As mentioned, he's in Sky Island to complete his first B-grade daily quest. First, he must collect 10 essences from the special field. Second, he must defeat 20 monsters there. And third, he must survive in the Sky Island for more than 60 minutes. Once completed, he will receive a B-grade quest buff, plus a random item box. Initially, Ju-yeon didn't expect this, as he only gets E or F rank quests. He slept after defeating the mountain snake, and had he seen the B quest earlier, he would have gone off before nighttime. But now that he's in Sky Island, it's better to complete this quest before his skills reset at midnight. Just then, he spots a blue, glowing, marble-like sphere on the grass. It's an essence that doesn't drop from monsters, and the system includes it in his quest count. If this essence can be found like this, it means Ju-yeon must scour the great expanse of the Sky Island's wide fields just to look for 9 more. What a bothersome task. If only this quest were not B rank. Ju-yeon looks behind him just in time to see a winged monster swooping in on him. He dodges flawlessly, but he is surprised by his unexpected agility. It's like his body is moving on its own. Maybe it's the after effect of using brilliant authority and resistance to change. Anyway, Ju-yeon sets the bird on fire with his fireball. The sudden illumination reveals that there are other hunters raiding the special field, aside from Ju-yeon. These users all wear an ominous mask. Their leader asks for updates, and one answers that their advance team has spotted Kanal in the northwest. The leader gets excited. Imagine catching Kanal and then looking at that bastard Haesung's face once he finds out. That gives him the thrill. One of them asks what they should do if other users barge in on their raid. The leader says that's a no-brainer. Execute them on sight. Unaware of this, Ju-yeon continues to complete his daily quest as if having a wonderful time. He's done eliminating 20 monsters. He's accomplished staying alive in this field. And he's collected 9 essences, which surprisingly are not that hard to find. It looks like he'll be able to complete the quest before midnight. Now just one more essence, and a huge explosion behind him makes Ju-yeon turn around in shock. There, Kanal is battling a dozen users. Ju-yeon is perplexed. The raid is said to happen at dawn the next day. So why are there users attacking the boss field monster tonight? These users raise their arrows towards the creature, and their aim is to hit the black wing. Ju-yeon doesn't know what to do. The boss will get stolen if he doesn't do anything, but it's probably too late to contact anyone from the raid team. Then he remembers his main quest and its sub-quest. He must try conquering the F-rank special field and defeat Kanal, the master of Sky Island, in that order respectively. There is no mention of who he has to clear it with or how much he needs to contribute, and definitely nothing about necessarily catching Kanal himself. Well then, Ju-yeon doesn't mind if he just sits and watches as others do the job. The users have destroyed Kanal's black wing, causing the boss monster to spiral towards the ground. Then they all rush in to make their final blow. But Ju-yeon scoffs at them, seeing that Kanal is about to make a counterattack. If its health drops below 50% and it becomes unable to fly, it will corrupt one of its wings, adding the condemn effect to all of its attacks. Kanal raises his 2 swords and slashes them around him. The field gets layered with thick dust. But once it settles, Ju-yeon finally spots the last essence. He forgets about Kanal as he retrieves it. Meanwhile, Kanal rages against the users, hitting them with a blast so strong they all fly a few feet away from it. 3 of them get tossed towards Ju-yeon's way. 2 of them painfully hit the ground but immediately get up. They look at their third mate, whose mask fell off his face. They reprimand him for letting the mask fall and showing his face, but there's no time for punishment. They have to return to the fight. Both of them don't recognize Ju-yeon, who is now holding the mask. Its real owner is lying unconscious a few feet away from them. Ju-yeon doesn't understand what the mask is for, but now that it's come to this, he'll just go along. Anyway, he has completed his B-rank daily quest. The random item box has been stored in the temporary inventory, and the B-grade quest buff is now applied. Kanel continues to defend himself as users keep on attacking it. Out of nowhere, giant blue fireballs hit Kanel, taking everyone by surprise. No one knows where those fireballs are coming from until they see one of their masked mates wearing a hood rain those fiery balls onto Kanel. As for Joo-yeon, he feels like crap knowing he's sending those attacks from a safe distance, but he has no choice. He didn't expect that the buff from completing the B-rank daily quest would be this crazy. The buff is good for 24 hours. All his stats have an additional 5 points. He gains 10% experience, gets 300 mana, and generates 10% mana. If Joo-yeon doesn't use his skills, he will look sketchy, but if he does, he'll stand out. Either way, he gets screwed, so his best option is to join in attacking Kanel. However, as he continues attacking this sturdy punching bag with his overbuffed skill, Joo-yeon actually finds that he's enjoying every second of it. Since these users know he's the one raining fireballs on Kanel, he might as well stick to it and then sweep all the rewards later. Joo-yeon's barrage of fireballs activates another skill of the boss monster. If Kanel doesn't lose 10% or more of its health during the battle, the summoning order will get activated. This means that all monsters living on the Sky Island will be called into Kanel's subordination. As Kanel raises its sword, all the monsters turn around to heed the call. The users hunting in the other parts of the special field become confused, unaware of what is really happening. They wonder if there's another raid going on or if it's different from that one that Lee Hae-sung is supposed to lead. They gather near the commotion. The masked users are pissed upon seeing others, knowing that their illegal operation has been revealed. One user wants to know what's happening, but unfortunately he gets slashed across his chest. The leader of the rogue ones orders his men to deal with those outsiders. Joo-yeon is frozen on the spot, seeing that these masked users will go to such lengths. Not only are they stealing the glory of defeating the boss, but they are also committing atrocities against other players. He must find a way to get out of this mess quickly. Just before one masked user lands a fatal blow, another sword parries the attack. To the shock of the victims, Hae-sung, along with the Kim siblings and others, has finally arrived. Hae-sung's face radiating wrath tells Joo-yeon that he's royally screwed. The leader of the rebel users looks down on Hae-sung, and pertaining to those they have hurt, he says this can't be the expected Kanel raid. He even has the audacity to say that these people barged into their raid. But Hae-sung stands his ground, pointing out the atrocities made by these rogue users, stealing the boss and committing player homicide. Veins pop on his face as he vows revenge against the masked users, and so, the skirmish between users ensues. One pushes Joo-yeon aside to join the melee. Still stunned at how things have gone downhill, he remains indecisive on what he must do. Adding to the chaos is Kanel ordering his monsters to join the fray, making it a three-way fight among Hae-sung's group, the masked users, and the Sky Island monsters. Joo-yeon realizes they must put Kanel down first, but the problem is that their collective firepower is more spread out in this chaotic fight. Joo-yeon starts to feel despair as he sees Hae-sung's eyes turn red, signaling the activation of his skill. The Kim siblings are also holding their own, mainly focusing their powers against the monsters. Then Joo-yeon sees a masked user creep behind Hyeji. He sends a blue fireball, hitting the culprit and surprising Hyeji. She sees the cloaked, masked figure saving her, still shocked that one of their enemies would save her. Big Bro turns around and sees who Hyeji is looking at, and instantly he knows. Joo-yeon is holding out as he waits for midnight when he can reset. Just a few minutes more, and then finally, it's 0 hours. He activates his skill copy and then puts together Blood Frenzy, Fireball, and Brilliant Authority. With just one hit of his fireball, 20 monsters have fallen, adding 2% to his skill effect. Hae-sung sees him and is annoyed that this man is stealing his thunder. Joo-yeon aims for the monsters since they keep respawning, giving him more chances to slay them, which in turn increases his stats per kill. This is even better than resistance to change, which only adds a fixed value. With his final fireball, Joo-yeon brings down the wrath of his powers onto Kanel, bidding the boss monster farewell. The surroundings turn blue, and once fire and ashes settle, Kanel is seen kneeling on the ground, burned and seemingly beaten. Everyone turns to see if the boss has been defeated, but Joo-yeon sees that is not the case. Kanel stands again, this time activating the final phase. Without ado, it stabs the ground with its trident, releasing a force beyond measure. All users get blasted by this force. Joo-yeon defends himself, but the force is too strong. His mask is starting to crack. If they can't hold out here, all of them, both the innocent and the rogue ones, will be screwed. Just then, Big Bro jumps in front of him and tells him he owes him one. What follows is a bright light engulfing everyone in the unknown. When the dust settles, Kanel stands in the middle of the destruction brought about by its attack. Then it looks sideways, where Big Bro remains sturdy with his shield, albeit full of cracks around it. Big Bro finally collapses, as behind him Joo-yeon prepares for his final attack. As the rest of his mask falls off, he brings down the wrath of his fireball onto Kanel. The field boss monster gets engulfed in blue flames. The strength of the attack generates even more dust and gusts of wind, confusing Haesung and others about what's happening. Eventually, the dust settles for the second time. But at this point, Kanel finally kneels. Beaten and defeated, its wings are no more. Gems and precious stones start to appear around the field boss, along with a necklace that is surely the coveted boss item. Haesung turns to the masked leader of the rogue users and tells him to get lost if he doesn't want his life to end. But the masked leader points out that it was their mage who defeated Kanel. They must get that guy first before he secures the boss item. By now, Joo-yeon's mask has completely fallen off his face. The system tells him that he has completed his main quest. In 10 seconds, he will be transported to the tutorial field to claim his rewards. Once the prompt disappears, Joo-yeon sees that the masked leader is looking directly at him. The masked leader sees the mage and wonders how he can't recognize him, and yet something feels oddly familiar about him. Regardless, they must stop this mage from getting the boss item. But Joo-yeon has already picked up the necklace, much to Haesung's anger. Joo-yeon tells everyone that he defeated Kanel. Therefore, he rightfully deserves to have the boss item. That's when the masked leader finally recognizes this mage as the infamous Fire Psycho, with his recognizable cloak. Both Haesung and the masked leader rush forward to catch Fire Psycho, but he mysteriously disappears. Haesung angrily claims that the bastard is pulling some trick. But it's more than that, the masked leader says. They have both been scanned by Fire Psycho, and this remark leaves Haesung fuming in anger. He can't believe that his supposedly boss item just got stolen under his nose. Meanwhile, Joo-yeon gets transported into the cosmos, wondering if he really just did everything he's done. Just then, several status windows pop up, all showing him the rewards he has earned from the raid. But what surprises him more is the appearance of the little fairy, who calls herself Ego. She is Joo-yeon's tutorial guide, and she's there to lead him through to the next one. Joo-yeon wonders why he has a tutorial guide when there has never been one before. Perhaps this is part of having an X-level unique trait. When Ego asks if he wants to claim his rewards, Joo-yeon says yes. The first one is an upgrade ticket for a sub-trait. Ego explains that upgrading a sub-trait is similar to first-class advancement, which adds more detail to his unique trait. The fairy then shows all of Joo-yeon's available traits. Skill Master X grade, under which there are passive income, trait bestowal, and daily quest, and the Skill Copy X grade, under which there are sample, efficiency, and boss collector. Which one will Joo-yeon choose to upgrade? He considers passive income at first, knowing it will benefit him in the long run. But he realizes he's weak in other areas, especially his physical stats. If his skills hadn't reset at midnight, he wouldn't have survived the raid, and he wouldn't have beaten Kanel. Right now, the best option is to increase his usable skills at a time. Joo-yeon tells Ego he chooses to upgrade sample for skill copy. Ego sets it up, and Joo-yeon's sample has been upgraded. This means he can now copy 4 skills at a time. There's a chance to restore 1 attempt of copying, and each copied skill's grade is increased by 1. The only downside is that he can only recharge a copied skill twice, at 12 midnight and 12 noon. Joo-yeon then gets excited at the possibility of having 8 copies in a day. Ego asks if he wants to check the other rewards, to which Joo-yeon immediately agrees. The next one they open is the random item box earned from the previous daily quest. The item is a Blazing Burst Sword C grade. With 7 strength and 3 magic, and once infused with fire mana, it increases the skill power by 7%. Joo-yeon wonders why he always gets fire attribute items. Next, they open the main quest reward, the Skill Master reward box. Instead of items or attributes, it contains a C-grade bonus quest. In this quest, he must defeat 2 field bosses, 100 monsters, and spend 5,000 SP. Once completed, he will earn a 3-point level up, plus 10000 SP and 3 D-grade magic stat potions. Then they check the next reward, a new sub-trait called Blue Rising. In level 1, it adds a random description to copied skills. Joo-yeon thinks it's not bad to have another line of option when copying a skill. Now that he's seen his rewards, it's time to check the boss item, the necklace. It's SS grade Kanel's Cursed Necklace, which gives insane stat boosts to magic, mana, and mana regeneration. Plus, it increases the stats of each equipped item by 5. Joo-yeon can't believe he's the owner of such an accessory, but if the boss item is this good, then the boss skill must be one hell of a reward. Indeed it is. He just added to his boss skill list Kanel's ability, A-grade Descent. When the user's health drops below 10%, the fallen angel Kanel descends. All stats are increased by 50% of magic. All attacks gain the Corruption C-grade effect. After Descent, the user's health and mana are fully restored. This skill lasts for 10 minutes and it has a cooldown of 30 days. Joo-yeon remembers that this must be that final phase he saw from Kanel. It dawns on him that he was extremely lucky to have Blood Frenzy, which allowed him to beat the field boss monster. He can't imagine how anyone would have beaten the fallen angel after activating Descent. Nonetheless, he has it on his list to copy. It has 1 month of cooldown, so it's best to use it only for emergencies. Ju-yeon sees that he has also gained over 20000 SP. That's sweet. He can now upgrade his most important abilities. He boosts his sample, which after the upgrade now allows him 3 recharges per copied skill. Then he uses the rest of his SP to boost others. Efficiency from 10% mana cost reduction, now it's by 20%. Trait bestowal, in which copied skills are now granted E-grade unique traits. And daily quest, which will now give him B-rank quests or higher. Once he's done claiming rewards and allocating SPs, Ju-yeon plops on the Cosmos' floor. He didn't expect winning to be this tiring, but Ego reminds him that he's just been collecting rewards up to that point, and that there's still the main business to attend to. She says that the real tutorial begins now. When Ju-yeon looks clueless, Ego prompts him about the last line of the main quest. Ju-yeon vaguely remembers it. The last line said, "For the survival of Earth and humanity, conquer the special fields." Survival, is it? Surely it doesn't mean the literal sense of those words. But it does, Ego says. Ju-yeon's world will soon be destroyed. Following the successful boss raid, Sky Island Canal has eventually disappeared. The citizens living in the affected area can finally see blue skies and feel the sunlight. Despite the gates leading to the Sky Island disappearing as well, spatial distortions have begun to occur, which leads to the possibility that the appearance of mutated fields may also happen. Soldiers are stationed in front of these distortions to keep the civilians away. In a press conference, Lee Hae-sung addresses the events of the boss raid. The details may have been leaked in a video, but he confirms the interference of a group of rogue users who attempted to steal the boss. Nonetheless, the Canal raid can be considered successful. Unfortunately, those unidentified individuals fled right after the raid. When asked about the rewards, Hae-sung also confirms that the stats of all participants have increased. But when asked about the boss item, Hae-sung's face creases with fury. Hae-sung abruptly ends the interview. In their apartment, Hae-ji turns off the television after the interview with Hae-sung ends. Big Bro remarks that if that guy gets caught by Lee Hae-sung, he's dead meat. The one he's referring to is, of course, Ju-yeon, the mysterious user who healed Hye-ji, and the one they witnessed using fireballs. Right now, Hye-ji is trying to call him to confirm her guesses. Big Bro sees her and points out the possibility that she's wrong. But who really knows? Hye-ji says. For argument's sake, considering that the cloak that Mage was wearing is standard gear, everyone can have that. But if his main skill is Fireball, then that changes things. Hye-ji strongly believes that the one who stole Canal is Fire Psycho, and that Fire Psycho is Yoo Ju-yeon. Finally, her call gets picked up. Once Ju-yeon answers, Hye-ji goes straight to the point and asks him if he was the one who saved her during the Canal raid. Ju-yeon stutters and denies it, saying he wasn't able to attend the raid. Hye-ji points out that Ju-yeon's mage gear is exactly like that guy's, so it's only possible that it's him. She wanted to verify, but he immediately disappeared. Still, Ju-yeon vehemently denies that he was present at the raid, and still Hye-ji insists it was him. Ju-yeon ends up apologizing for not coming even though she invited him. Also, he's in the middle of taking a bath right now, so he can't talk properly. So Ju-yeon hangs up. Hye-ji raises an eyebrow. So that's how he wants to play it, huh? Ju-yeon hopes that what he said will stop Hye-ji from calling again. But really, who calls once every minute? Ju-yeon is already stressed after his conversation with Ego. Hye-ji doesn't need to add to it. He recalls the things revealed by the little fairy after making that ominous statement, that Ju-yeon's world would soon be destroyed by invaders from another dimension. However, Ego assured him not to worry, as he was given a special power, and that was Skill Master. It was not just an ordinary talent. That power was a lesser authority to alter reality and something only gods could possess. And that power was bestowed on him by a god. Ju-yeon was astonished to know he was given such a gift, but why? Was he a demigod or something? Because if that was the case, then he realized he was too honest while serving in the military. Instead of answering this, Ego told him it may be confusing now, but he shouldn't overthink it. Ju-yeon had done a lot up to that point, so this was the reward for all the things he accomplished. But he had one last choice to make. The power bestowed on him wasn't the true force of the God Fragment, which meant there was a vast room for exploring this power. In addition, a true hero was someone who shouldered that power to save the world. In Ju-yeon's hand, he could let that power stay dormant or let it blossom, depending on his choice. To be specific, Ju-yeon could enjoy that power for his own survival, or bear the weight of that power to save the world. Ego emphasized that saving the world wasn't mandatory for him. As always, it would boil down to his choice. Back in his bathtub at the present, Ju-yeon is exasperated about that conversation. Talking about saving the world to someone like him who used to work at a convenience store until recently is just crazy. All this thinking is making him crazy. Ju-yeon decides to have chicken and beer after his bath. Meanwhile, Hye-ji has just finished making her diagram for figuring out Yoo Ju-yeon's real identity. She has written all the things she knows about Ju-yeon, even including his weird toilet habits. which presumably must pertain to a bad irritable bowel syndrome. She confidently concludes that Joo-yeon is indeed fire psycho, but she has no evidence. She has to meet him again to verify her guesses. Big Bro asks her why she is so obsessed with that guy. Hyeji says that in a field, even an S-rank mage can lose their life in an instant. Life is always at risk in every raid, and if she's going to take that risk every time, she wants to be the best at it. To do so, they need someone exceptional like Fire Psycho in their party, because she knows she can't do it all alone. Big Bro sighs. He understands his sister more than anything. If that's the case, then she shouldn't be doing reckless stuff all the time. Hyeji looks at her brother, then goes back to hypothesizing again about Joo-yeon. Based on all the information about Joo-yeon, not wanting to get exposed, having a level fit for D-rank fields, avoiding fields in Seoul where they usually patrol, always looking for money, and choosing to commute instead of renting a private car, Hyeji concludes that Joo-yeon will next go to a D-rank spider den near the outskirts of the metro area. Big Bro is understandably skeptical. Things never go quite as expected. But to his utter confusion, his sister is actually right. They indeed find Joo-yeon near a D-rank spider den field. And as usual, he nervously claims that he's only there to sell healing magic and not to hunt. But Hyeji tells him he can drop his act and tell her the truth. There is no harm in telling her his secret. But Joo-yeon maintains that he's a simple healer and has nothing to hide. Their back-and-forth banter is starting to get into Big Bro. His sister is starting to look like a thug shaking a poor citizen down, so he steps in and raises his palm. He offers Joo-yeon 500 per hour, and that should settle things. Then Big Bro places his arm around Joo-yeon's shoulder and quietly tells him there's no point arguing with Kim Hyeji. He also reminds Joo-yeon that he owes him one. Joo-yeon tries to remember what he owes Big Bro, but he can't, and he still feels cornered by the siblings. Well, if Big Bro is willing to pay him 500 per hour, then so be it. Joo-yeon turns to Hyeji and tells her he's willing to come with them. But before that, Joo-yeon needs to do something. He hesitates before telling them he needs to go to the bathroom. Big Bro is dumbfounded. There's no way his sister correctly predicted Joo-yeon's toilet problems. As for Joo-yeon, his pride is crying inside, knowing that he'll be known as that mage with toilet problems.